Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here again with another scan and cut tutorial. This time I'm going to show you how to create a half-cut text card in Canvas Workspace. And if you're not sure what a half-cut text card is, here's an example where I've just put the word happy across the top folded edge of the card. So it sits on top of that mountain fold. Previously I've shown you how to do this with basic shapes, and that was relatively easy, so I'll link to that somewhere on the top of this screen, but for this one we have to go about things slightly differently, so that's why we're doing it in Canvas Workspace. And I'm going to be using the installed version, so if you haven't already downloaded that and installed it on your computer, it's time to do so. Just before continuing with this particular tutorial, I would like to take a moment to remind you about my full scan and cut course that's available now on udemy.com. You can watch anywhere, anytime, ask questions and bookmark favourite sections. It's already received hundreds of 5-star reviews. Follow the link in the description below to find out more. Okay, back on with the demonstration for this video, and I'm going to start by launching Brother Canvas Workspace. If you haven't logged in for a while, you will be asked for your login ID and password. And of course, if you haven't already signed up, it's a good idea to do so, as there are lots of tools in Canvas Workspace that you won't find in other versions. And just to clarify, I am using the installed version of Canvas Workspace, and it's version 2.3. I'm going to complete this project in stages, so I will start with making the card. I'll begin by loading a square. And just to help me out, in the artboard menu, I'm going to change the measurement unit to inches, show the ruler and snap to grid. I'm going to make myself a card that is 5 inches by 4 inches. Once I've done that, I'll press Ctrl C and Ctrl V to copy and paste the first shape, and then I will double the height, because obviously when I fold this I will then have a 4-inch card, so the overall height is 8 inches. I'm then using the Path tool to create a line across that card, and I'm setting the line pattern to a quite sparse dash. I'm also just decreasing the width of that line a little bit, just so that it fits within the constraints of the card. Okay. Time to crack on with those letters. Now, as I mentioned in the intro to this video, I've had to go about this a very unorthodox way, because previous versions of the half-cut video, and I will leave a link for that, you would need to open it and then take away some nodes. We're going to do something very similar, but in this instance we've got to go about it a very different way. So I've started by adding my text. That's just in the normal way. Resized it to fit the card. And then I'm going to use the new tools that were added in version 2.3, which is Convert to Shapes. Once that's done, I will then click on Divide, where it says Process Overlap, to split those into individual letters. Now I'm going to make a rectangle to fit over the first letter. And then I'm going to copy and paste the rectangle for each letter that I need. So copy and paste in Canvas Workspace is the same you find pretty much anywhere else. That's Ctrl C and Ctrl V on your keyboard. I'm just loosely positioning them and resizing so that there's no overlaps between the rectangles, but that each one will cover a letter. And it's particularly important how I'm positioning these. Do you see at the bottom how there's a slight overlap with the letter, or the letters are poking out from the rectangles? That's quite important. Now I'm selecting all of the rectangles and aligning them along the base. And the next thing that I will do is just make sure they are where I need them, and also send them to the back of the layer stack. So your keyboard shortcut for that is Control Shift and then the opening square bracket. If you don't know how to do that, you can always move them around in your layers panel. The next thing that I need to do is select each pair of rectangle and letter, and then use the subtract function from the process overlap menu. And you can see why that overlap at the bottom was important, because now it's punching out those letters from the rectangles. So now I'll show you in depth on the H, the process for creating the half cut letter. You double click the shape to enter the node editing mode, and it will always select this bottom right corner. So from our path editing tools at the top, we choose open outline, and you see how that took away the line on the right. Then we're going to select all of the nodes that we don't need and delete them. And you can see now that I've still got that little bit of the H left over, and this was always a problem before. However, now, because I can access this when it's a closed shape, I can open that shape now. So I did it slightly wrong there because I chose the wrong corner to open. So I'm just choosing the bottom left node there. And there we go, that's the H done. I'll show you again on the A. So double click to access the node editing. Open the shape. Delete all of the nodes that we don't want. And then if you have one of these landlocked areas with your letter, choose the bottom left node and open that shape. I'm going to speed things up a little bit now for each of the subsequent letters. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you can slow this down, and indeed if you're watching this version on Udemy, you can slow that down as well. But generally you could always replay from the beginning where I was dealing with the H, and that's at real time. So now you can see I've got all of my letters with open legs. Let's call them legs. And that is exactly what we need for the half cut letter technique. So now I'm going to group these so that they don't become out of alignment, because we need the base of each letter to be on the same level. I'm then going to move that over to my card and position it on top of that dashed line. This is where the fold in the card is going to occur and where your letters will pop up from. Using the alignment tools to put that in the center. And in all fairness, that's pretty much the letters done. What I am going to do though, however, is take out this long line and put in some alternates in between the letters where I think they're going to be needed. I will probably hand score this anyway after I've cut it out, but it's just to show you how I would go about this. So with the path tool, you can start at either end of the existing line, which I've locked in place in my layers panel. You'll find that the start of the new line will snap to the old line. Do you see how a new little icon appears there? If not, try it out on your computer and you'll probably see it better. So I'm going to take that line across and stop short of the letter H. Double click to set the other end of that line in place. And then if I press my space bar, it will temporarily change the cursor to a hand movie grabby tool. So I can scroll across, or you can use the scroll bar at the bottom of the screen. Going to pop another line in wherever there's a large gap between the letters. Now I'm going to get rid of the original original scoreline, and zoom back to a state where I can see everything that's going on. I'm going to select the line and then deselect the other shapes that got accidentally selected with my bounding box. And then I'm going to make sure they're all on the same level, as in aligned on their center. And then we're going to change the dash pattern to something that's quite spaced out. You don't have to use these dash patterns if you don't want to, by the way. You can set a solid line to be a draw line, and instead of using your pen in your pen holder, you could use an embossing tool to score your card. I tend to do it by hand after I've cut it out anyway though, so I didn't show you that in this particular video. I've decided that I will put in some extra score markings in between the legs of the characters. It's not strictly necessary for me to do because I will be hand scoring. However, it was just a way of showing you that this is how you would put them in. Okay, and that pretty much sums it up. It is a little bit extra work than you probably would have hoped for. However, I think you'll agree that it's great news that there is a way to achieve it. Obviously, to export it to your machine, you would do it in the same way you normally do, either to a USB stick via the Wi-Fi or through a cabled connection. And there you go. Once you've scored and folded your card, the word will sit proud at the top and be quite an intriguing and interesting addition to your card fronts. So there you go. An amazing, cool technique for creating text welded to the top edge of a folded greetings card. Something to come in handy when you're thinking of ideas for using your scan and cut machine. That's it for this video. If you have enjoyed your time with me today, please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for notifications of future videos. In the meantime, thank you again for watching, and I will see you hopefully next time.